Hello, happy Monday. Welcome to the second look here on Back of the Net. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
Tom, how much have you been singing that song over the weekend? Quite a lot?
Constantly, mate. Yeah, it is living rent-free in my head at the moment. But it was nice to just have a song that everyone joined in. There's some really good like videos and stuff of all the away end bouncing. So I think a few Brentford fans actually said how good the away end was. So no, it was a nice touch. It was a good game, and it was really enjoyable away day, mate.
So, Bournemouth were involved in an absorbing clash at the G-Tech Community Stadium. It was 2-2 against the Bees. They scored early, they scored late. But in between, there's so much to talk about. And it's a really interesting fan dynamic at the end of the game, mate, because I suspect both fans were feeling aggrieved, both sets of supporters, because Bournemouth fans we were leading for, 18, 19 minutes, just on the cusp of our first win. But Brentford, when you look at the stats, they did dominate that. But also it felt like we had the lion's share of parts of the game as well. It was such a weird one.
It was a weird one, and like you say, both will feel aggrieved because of what you just mentioned. And then equally, you could spin it and say both fans would be relieved because they hit the post loads of times, so we should be relieved to get a point. And they, even though they had the better chances, will be going, well, on 93 minutes we were losing, so they'll take the draw at that point. But yeah, it was an interesting one. It's weird, isn't it, when you're in the stadium? I felt that it was probably more even than it obviously turned out to be when you look back. But I guess that's just because the ones off the woodwork and that are much clearer chances. But in the actual general play, I felt like as much as they were on top for large parts, we always had a threat when we got the ball and when we broke on them, which was nice to see. I think, last season, for example, there were so many times where the other team would have the lion's share of possession, but it was more that we couldn't hurt them in transition, whereas I felt like we did that every time we got forward, to be honest. So that was promising, and it was an enjoyable football match, and I think both managers said it after, that it was two teams that were trying to win a game, two teams that were going for it, and that's why it didn't surprise me there was goals.
We're starting to see an identity coming through now, I think. And if you scratch the surface, there are some Bournemouth fans that are maybe disappointed with it, but when you look underneath and look at some of the good things that happened on the pitch and some of the patterns of play, it's actually very exciting. But I think we've got to accept that these kind of games are going to happen more and more under Andoni Iraola, because it is going to be that chaotic football. So I'm all for it if it's games like that, but equally I think we could go into matches where we'll get smashed.
Maybe.
We could go into games where we also smash the opposition too.
Yeah, no, exactly, and don't want to always go back to it, but when we first come up with Eddie, there was things like that, weren't there, where we'd get some good wins, but we might take a few beatings just because of the quality. You think if we're playing the way we are now, say against Man City's the obvious example, if they take all their chances, they're going to have a lot of chances. So that will be the case. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think you've only got to look at this small sample size we've got of this season. That Brentford haven't lost a game. They're very, very strong at home. We all know, for example, rightly so, Tottenham are getting a lot of praise at the moment. Well, they went there and drew the exact same scoreline, 2-2, and there wasn't a lot of differences in the two games, really, having watched that Tottenham game. So yeah, there's a lot of... In every game, I feel like there's slight improvements in certain areas. We're always going to be learning and building together with... Fixtures have been horrible. We haven't played a team that have lost yet. Injuries are horrible. New signings aren't ready yet. We've gone from one extreme to the other in terms of our style. To have got 2 points from them 4, I know it's annoying because you go, we haven't got that first win. But really, if you look at it, you go, that's not bad. It's slow progression, but there are small steps, I think. And I've been pretty happy, mate, of what I've seen so far. And like I say, I really enjoyed it.
So we're pleased to announce that this season Back of the Net is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game.
Green King Sport venues are showing every single televised Bournemouth fixture over the 23-24 season. And
with 900 sports pubs across the UK, doesn't matter whether you're in Bournemouth or Barnsley or in certain other place. Burton, love that from you, great club. You can catch every single minute of the action there.
Yeah, so keep an eye out during the season for events, offers, content and competitions that put you that bit closer to the action.
Of course, we've been on TNT already this season, and there's going to be a number of matches where we're televised on either that, Sky Sports, Amazon, etc. So the next best thing, if you can't get to a game, is to catch it at a Green King Sport Pub. So, Tom, you made a good point just before that about the teams that we played so far, and they are all inside the top
European
8
places, pretty much.
Yeah,
near enough.
That's right. And also, when you compare them to the results we had against them last season, we're up on that as well.
Yeah, top of my head, yeah, 4-0 we lost to West Ham
Yeah.
home, 9-0 we lost at Liverpool, 3-2 we lost to Tottenham, and 2-0 at Brentford. So yeah, a lot of improvements in that sense for sure. And like we've mentioned enough, mate, they're all really, really good sides that we've played. And I mean, West Ham have won every game apart from against us. Incredible. But yeah, it's we knew it was going to be a tough start on paper, and we know we're still not quite out of that yet. I think the next three, Chelsea, obviously just because of the calibre of players they got, they've started well, and then I think it's Brighton and Arsenal, isn't it? So we all knew that this would be a tough way, and it's almost better to kind of get them tough fixtures out. We're learning with games that would have been tough anyway, and then when we get into them fixtures that hopefully feel more winnable, we would have learned a lot, I think, from not just games but also training. So yeah, no, we knew it would be a tough start, mate, but I think performance wise it's been more positives than negatives, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who've watched the Matchday vlog on YouTube, you'd have seen us touched on the Friday news of the signing of Luis Sinisterra. But for people who haven't seen that, or people who are listening on the audio pod, Tom, obviously our transfer window concluded overall a superb transfer window for us. But Friday brought some rumours and conjecture, Kiefer Moore going, maybe Patson Daka coming in, and all these rumours going around. And then late on it turned that Luis Sinisterra from Leeds United, the winger, is joining us on loan with an option to buy by the sounds of it. But surprisingly to us, Jadon Anthony going the other way. That did take me by surprise.
It did. I think that's obviously something that at the last minute they really wanted Sinisterra, and I guess Leeds have gone, we need someone in return, and he was the lowest in the pecking order, I guess, in terms of wingers. So yeah, I feel for Jadon because he's played a large part already.
I really do.
Yeah, and he played a big part last season, and yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm sure they've had discussions with Andoni, but
I hope they have.
I hope they have, because it felt to me like Andoni really liked him. He was certainly giving him more minutes than Brooksy and Cliver early on, and liked the kind of combination he has and the work rate, and he's got a good press about him as well. I think it was overlooked at Anfield that them opening kind of 5-10 minutes where we were brilliant, it all come from Jadon. Disallowed goal, Alisson coming out and getting sent off, etc. But yeah, I think it was a weird one because Sinisterra is clearly the better player than, say, Daka, has proven it more. Sinisterra is a really high calibre of player, but I think for what we needed, we probably could have done with Daka more in terms of just a bit more competition for Dom. I think it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think for what we need, Daka in, more out on loan would have probably been better. But in terms of the quality of player, I think Sinisterra is just that level up from little bits I've seen, and obviously what other fans say. But
hopefully he'll remain fit, because his injury record is not particularly great, is it? And Jadon Anthony, I was saying to a Leeds fan on the Just Joe football channel, I provided 5 minutes of Jadon Anthony insight to him, and he's rarely been injured for more than a week or two. His injury record is exceptional, whereas Sinisterra not so much.
Yeah, you can just go alongside Tyler Adams, Alex Scott, Ryan Fredericks, all them. Yeah, it's one of them things. Hopefully we can keep him fit, as you say, mate, because yeah, a lot of the Leeds fans saying he's Champions League quality if he stayed fit. So yeah, they were gutted, but it was nice to see, just having a little look when Jadon was unveiled, that the Leeds fans, despite what we may think of them to some degree, they're not all bad, and a lot of them were saying, look, it's happened now, we've got to get behind Jadon, and I think Jadon should know, put aside all our kind of conflicts with Leeds, they've got hell of a support, especially at home, and if he fights for the shirt, as we know Jadon does, I think the fans will really warm to him, because he gives us all, doesn't he? You can never doubt that from Jadon, and I think if he can start, get a few early goal involvements, I think they'll really like him. And listen, he's played in the Championship and he's got promoted, so he's been there and done it. So I think both teams might look at it and it'd be all right. I think it looks like there might be some sort of clause where if Leeds get promoted, then we can't sign Sinisterra. So it makes sense, but they've got no option to sign Jadon. So as long as he wasn't too annoyed, then we'll have him back. But yeah, Sinisterra, top player, mate, so I'm really excited to see him.
And then Kiefer Moore was linked with Millwall, but it seemed like he didn't fancy it, and some people suggested that the fact that he changed his mind on that, or whatever transpired, meant that Patson Daka couldn't come in, but apparently it wasn't related. No. It didn't correspond. But I wonder with that, like, why he did change his mind. And I sort of said on the WhatsApp group that we're in, maybe he's not aware, because it's not one of the derby rivalries, but Cardiff and Millwall is a historical rivalry that's very, very tense. They don't have to travel in bubbles or anything. However, It really is quite bad, and I just wonder whether Kiefer Moore was maybe oblivious to that, and then a few of his Cardiff boyos had a word in his ear saying, do you realise your legendary status will be affected if you make this move? And he probably thought, maybe not.
Maybe.
Who knows?
No, maybe. I'm more on the side that I think the Daka one fell through, so then we kept Moore. Because even if, say for argument's sake, that your point's correct and he said, I don't want to go to Millwall. But if we got Daka in, we could have contacted every single championship club. They'd have taken Kiefer Moore on loan.
Including Cardiff.
Cardiff would have taken him. I think Norwich were looking at him. It was, I think Millwall, it was either to do with financially or game time or whatever. They offered him on the best package, it seemed like. That's why he was going that way. But if we had got Daka in, I think we would have offered Kiefer Moore out to a lot of clubs. I think because Patson wasn't coming in, we couldn't afford to let Kiefer go. And we couldn't. As much as we're not sure how big a part he'll play or if he's ready for this level, we couldn't have let Kiefer Moore go without a replacement, not at all. Having said that, I do think, touch wood, nothing does happen to Dom. But if it were to, I believe there's more likely to play Semenyo through the middle. Rather than Kiefer, I still think it'll be a plan B, and I wouldn't be shocked if he went out in January. But up until then, he's got Wales side that he wants to stay in that squad.
Of course.
He'll come off the bench and he'll do it. You can never doubt that Kiefer's never given his all for the football club. Some bloody good memories, by the way, whatever happens.
I was saying to you that if the game had gone differently, I said to you that I wouldn't be surprised that Kiefer Moore, who we were willing to let go yesterday, comes on at some point today. But the game didn't work out like that. We always know when Kiefer comes on. The team was named anyway at 2 o'clock, and Tom had it bang on the money apart from Jayden Anthony. But you couldn't have predicted that, mate. So basically, you got 11 out of 11 on our preview show.
It's so annoying because I'm not having that because, I want to get it spot on. But yeah, if we had literally just randomly decided to do it again because of the Jayden news, I know, whether you believe me or not, I would have just put Cliver in. So yeah, a bit annoyed about that. And then theirs was just the one, Ben Mee for Collins, who started all the other games. So yeah, a bit gutted about that. But yeah, that's kind of what I expected with the Jayden news. We both said, didn't we, and when we discussed it, that I don't know why it just felt like, maybe it was from the Swansea game, it felt like this was the time that Lewis was going to come in for Joe. It just felt like the few little sub appearances that Lewis made, he looked sharper than I expected, so I thought, actually, I wonder if he will come in. And as much as Rothwell's done a good job, I think in that role, Lewis is slightly better suited to it than Rothwell. So I was happy with that, and I thought Lewis done okay, considering he's not that type of player. I thought he'd done all right in the game.
Can we just talk about Neto?
We can.
So, I said on a show last season, and I'm not trying to say I told you so, because it was on a show that we did in the studio at the time with Jack Tanner, maybe?
Yes.
On unpopular AFC Bournemouth opinions. And one of them I said, Neto is no better than Travers. And in many ways it was tongue-in-cheek, and that then translated over to Twitter with people replying to me and stuff and saying, you on drugs, like take a look at his shot-stopping ratio, etc. But last season it always felt like he had an error in him that somehow we would get away with. And we've seen that this season with Spurs, for instance, when he tries to find Max Aarons only to find James Maddison or whoever it was for Spurs, who then Son nearly got a shot away on goal, but thankfully we weren't punished there. He made up for that. This goal that we conceded in the 6th minute at Brentford, it's all his fault, and that's so not me being. I'm not trying to criticise him too much, but it is that's just what happened. I mean, firstly, the sort of cross came in that I don't know if he could have done better with, but he just got his fingertips on it and it ran outside the penalty box, and he sillily then brings down the Brentford left-sided player. And it's so annoying when the free kick comes in, and it was hit at pace, it was hit at power, but his positioning was not particularly good, and that's not the first time we've seen that. Yeah,
I think if you're not a Bournemouth fan, you're watching this, maybe a Brentford fan, you probably think, they've been a bit harsh. Only the ones that, no, this has happened a few times where he's been over his line, behind his line, and saved it when the ball's already in. I think, we'll caveat it quickly before we get onto it, in the sense that I will always say, actually, one of Gary O'Neill's best ever decisions as a Bournemouth manager was bringing Neto in and making him captain.
Absolutely.
He was, yes, there were still errors in there, which I'm sure we'll get onto, but his leadership qualities, I think the language thing, that he can speak a few languages, but just the fact that his age, his experience, he's played for some big football clubs, and I think at that time it wasn't necessarily Travers' fault, but we needed some calm defensively. We let in 9, we needed they weren't really Travers' fault, any of the 9 really, maybe 1 or 2. He could have done better. But Neto coming, calmed everything down, and he was brilliant for us.
Yeah.
Was in the talk for all the Player of the Season awards, and rightly so. So we'll caveat with that for sure. But we said it on literally the last Second Look show we did with the Maddison thing, and is he getting away with certain bits? And yeah, this in particular, Ben White at the Emirates last season to make it 2-2.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it went in from our end.
No, I didn't.
But he was behind his line, saved it when it's already in.
Yeah, he sort of carried it into the side netting or something.
Yeah.
For that one.
And then Mitoma at Brighton, the 1-0. He's too far back. So when he goes to save it, the ball's already in. He can't get it back out of the goal. And I said that when he first come into the side, we won virtually a year ago to the day. We won at Nottingham Forest 3-2, amazing win, 2-0 down. Blah, blah, blah. And I remember in that game, last minute, it comes up and he just drops a ball and Awani scuffs it and it goes over the bar and he should score. And there was a few times, as I say, we spoke about it on the last Second Look, where he is making errors nearly every game, near the back end of last season as well, but they're not being punished, fortunately. And this time he got punished. He got punished big time, and listen, he's experienced enough to put this behind him, and he'll know he's had a bad game there. We saw it with when we got the second goal. His reaction was a man of a bit of relief as well as joy. But he'll be fine, and I don't want Neto to be dropped, anything like that. But it's just something you've got to talk about because he's made a few of these errors now, especially behind the line stuff, and it's for your skipper, your experienced player, to give them a head start after less than 10 minutes was concerning. Yeah, a little bit of a worry.
When Jensen fired in, I think what he thought was the ball was going to be crossed in, which he probably would. So his weight was almost planted on his left foot, ready to jump. But I think he'd almost decided in his head that was what was going to happen. And when it was whipped in, he sort of, because his weight was planted on his left foot, he couldn't really get his body over to the right hand side, and it was really, it was really poor. And I said to you, I texted you on the Sunday when Crystal Palace had a free kick in exactly the same position, and they did exactly the same thing. But Jose Sarr was obviously, reading it better. So I don't know. It's he's shown a little bit of vulnerability at the moment, Neto.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. For sure. I think he's probably, I'm just trying to think of the reasoning for it. He's probably thinking he knows our set piece record and we're not great at it. And unfortunately, he's probably tried to judge it early to think, I'll give us an advantage here because when he crosses it, I'll be one step ahead, can come out and help the defence, punch it, catch it, whatever. But Jensen, to his credit, has spotted that, in my opinion, has spotted his positioning and had a go. And yeah, the technique's brilliant, so that can't be forgotten. But yeah, Neto's got to bounce back from that, and hopefully, like you say, a few kind of errors in a few games now. That one punished. I'm sure he's the type of goalkeeper that will try and put that right. So
we were all wondering whether the goal was given because everyone was in uproar, it seemed, and what it turned out to be the case is that Bobby Madley's watch wasn't working, but there were the others that the
fourth official.
Yeah, because the fourth official has one. I think the assistant referees have one as well. And theirs beeped, his doesn't. Either the battery went or something, I don't know. But
they went and swapped, I think.
Yeah, in the end it was given. It looked like we were glancing at Twitter through the game. We thought that Tommy Elphick might have got sent off. That's what it looked like anyway. But it turns out that he's just given himself a
breather. He said he thought he was sent off, but he apparently just walked down the tunnel to calm down. Love that, Tommy. But yeah, I could see in the heat of the moment you're all kicking off because you're going, well, what if his watch hadn't gone off? But obviously it transpires. It was one of them things. It was clearly over. But yeah, disappointing way to start the game, and then I thought we're going to be in for a long day.
But when you want a reaction, I think the Bournemouth players did tend to give it. But amid our brilliant football at times, also came Brentford chances. Dom was working hard, mate. I mean, he's so isolated up there. That run he makes, where he's almost running diagonally across the pitch and
completely on his own.
He was going nowhere. He was going nowhere really. I mean, he was trying to sort of drive forward with the ball, but he had no options.
No, I felt like, to be fair, after that, I remember the moment that you're talking about, and we kind of broke away, and he's thinking, I've got to beat these two men on my own to their only chance.
There was no one near him.
But then I felt that literally after, I don't know if it was just coincidence. But after that, then I felt like we started getting bodies close to him. I don't know if that was a conscious thing that we saw that run, because then I think like Christie in particular was then trying to get a little bit close to him driving, and Clivett was coming in and Semenyo on the other side. So
are you talking about Christie driving forward?
Yes.
With a jinky run maybe later on.
Yes, I am.
And
so frustrating that was. Dom was in the way.
it was like watching prime Lionel Messi just dance through. And I've got a feeling that had it gone in, VAR might have decided that Dom was offside. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure.
In my mind, right, I know that Ryan Christie favours his left foot, but
Just a bit.
He's got to take that on his right. I don't care that like Charlie Daniels was like this.
It always.
He would do anything to avoid hitting the ball with his right foot.
Left footers are definitely more like that, I think.
Yeah, but there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Just hit it. Just hit it. Honestly, his numbers could be amazing.
I know.
He almost needs like a sports psychologist or whatever, or a hypnotist, just to be like, look, just go for it. Right foot, left foot, whatever, head, any part of the body.
He's just got the winner in the week as well.
It was brilliant to see, but you know
Great
what?
run.
It was, and we're not berating Christie because he was probably many people's man of the match. He was mine.
He was mine.
And it's so clear now how pivotal he is to this football team.
Yeah.
And how quickly that's changed. Because last season everyone was like, oh, I don't know whether she'd be included. Now, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily first name on the team sheet. However, he's a crucial name. Yeah,
I saw before the game a lot of people, as you do, like on Twitter, you do your 11 you want to see, and so many without Christian. I thought, you are joking. He's been unbelievable this season, and I appreciate the number side of things, but yeah, he's been great, especially in the way that Iraola wants us to play. And I think sometimes it only takes a tweak. So we all talk about what Woodgate did with Billing, and that little tweak that seems to change everything. And I think this little tweak from putting him centrally, let's be honest, 90% of his Bournemouth career he's played out on that right hand side, and I've always felt he gives us all, etc. But putting him in that role in this system is just, he loves it. He loves it. You could tell that. He's brilliant. And I can't believe he has to come off every game, because you just think you cannot keep going, mate. But yeah, credit to him. And that one, a really good run. But as you say, I think even though Dom, gets in his way, he should probably take it a little bit earlier. But yeah, I thought he was brilliant throughout, mate, causing them problems. And as I say, the one that was trying to get closer to Dom as well.
I really hope he's enjoying his football at the moment, because he looks like he is, and he's thriving because of it.
Need him to sign that contract as well, by the way.
Yeah, we do. And I think, it seems like his position's now been decided, and he's looking good in it. Just want to see him, getting the numbers, getting more assists, and just shooting with your right foot every now and then. But you know what?
I think he's Andoni's favourite.
Yeah, he could be.
He brought him on, obviously, at Swansea right at the end and went and won us the game. He's obviously, the way he presses is what Andoni loves. We know that. And I think back now, when you see how well Christie's playing, to that Lorient friendly, which was the last friendly, and he won in the squad. Yeah. And he said, oh, is Christie injured? And he went, no, but he could have played today, and he wanted to play, but I didn't want to risk him. Yeah. But everyone else he risked. And I think he knows how pivotal he is, especially to the style, especially if you're trying to implement a new style and you know it's going to take everyone time. If you've got one that you think he just gets it, forget about the quality and the goals. If there's one that gets it, he's going to think, right, he's going to trigger the press, etc., etc. And I think that's what's been so great to see. So yeah, delighted for Christie, because he's had his critics, and myself included, I think everyone included, really. So it's great to be able to kind of take your hat off to him and go, you've been brilliant so far, mate.
For all our criticisms of Neto earlier, he made up for it when Sade got the better of Aarons, and he was one-on-one, and he just tried to side foot it to the left of Neto, but it was his leg or something. He just gets something on it, and they hit the post for the first of 3 times in the game. But Brentford were showing those moments, but we were as well. Christie was getting forward, worked a shot, not dissimilar to the same position as he scored at Swansea, actually, on that kind of left side. Just dragged it wide, but harum scarum game, mate. And as fans, I was loving it, mate. Neutrals would have been loving it more, I'm sure.
Yes, it was. It felt a bit basketball matchy, didn't it? It was great. 2 teams really going for it, as I say. But yeah, it was. I remember saying to you, if you watch this, I always go down 38 minutes. Little superstition, go down at half time, and I remember so many times last season going, oh, is it time now? And it was like 22 minutes. And I think, oh, this is so dull. And now I'm going, oh, bloody hell, I'm going to go down now for superstition, because it's so enjoyable. You can't take your eyes off. It's brilliant.
It's really good.
Really, really good. And yes, you're going to get caught now and again. But the thing was, Brentford were getting caught as well, particularly in that first half, and it was really end-to-end. It was really, really good fun, and yeah, and I thought in that heat as well, I thought, God, them players are giving their all out there from both sets of teams. Some real athletic, energetic players everywhere, and you know, as much as he's not that likeable in my opinion, Thomas Frank's got that team well coached, very well coached, and they all know their jobs as well.
We'll talk about Thomas Frank later, I'm certain, because there are a few opinions that ruffled some Bournemouth feathers at full time. We'll talk about that later, but to me it just seemed as though both defences were playing a very high line. Yes. So we were getting caught out, but they were as well. Definitely. And it's that ball over the top that found Solanke, really good run where he peeled off, and he had sort of one, maybe two men to beat, and it was one of them I thought this is going to pan out the same as the first one, but then he just takes the keeper by surprise by hitting it early to his near post and just casually wheeling away in celebration. But what a moment that was. It just shows that Dom can score in those moments. It's not always going to end in failure. It was a really good goal, that.
Yeah, that was a brilliant goal. I think back in the last season, I think he probably runs down the line and their player ushers him out and we get a corner or something. Seems a little bit more confident, which was great to see.
But again, he was isolated.
He was isolated for that one, but it was
a long ball over the top.
And Celesi, who I didn't actually think had a good game. I think he's had two sloppier games, Swansea and this one. But great ball, and he has got that about him, the way he plays out. But also, shout out, because we're going to be talking about him in a lesser light later, for that Kirkes tackle, which is why we get the ball back. He makes a crunching tackle, as he does. Celesi plays the ball, and Dom's on his bike straight away, as expected. But takes it really coolly. I thought that was the only way he could do it, was cut it and then go back to that near post. Really well finished. So I love their moments, where I love them.
See, and we nearly scored again. Now, you didn't see this at
the
time.
No, I didn't know.
You didn't see it because it wasn't included on Match of the Day, but their keeper, Flecken, just... He tried to punch it out.
He was also a little bit shaky, I felt.
He was.
He looked like a new keeper, which he is. He'll probably be fine, but yeah, he looked a little bit shaky.
A ball came in, he tried to punch it clear, but it sort of came off the wrong part of his knuckle, or his glove, and then it found Semenyo, who just needed to... his header went... I don't know, in that circumstance, he should have just nodded it and looped a header over, but he headed it down, it was saved by the keeper, and that was a big chance, It
was, looking back on that, I thought, it's a difficult one, because I think it comes so quickly and it's not to be expected. I think Semenyo just thinks, I just need to get it on target. It's kind of the right... He gets on target, to his credit, and it's very close, actually, from just sneaking under his foot. It was like he saved it with his foot, didn't he? But, big moment right on half-time, mate. That would have been... unbelievable to go in at the break ahead, but I was well happy. Like I say, it was an enjoyable half, and I actually felt in the first half we'd done enough to be level. Definitely,
well,
I thought it was fair.
Funny you should say that, because at half time the shots chalkboard shows us ahead.
Okay,
we had more shots, 7 to their 6. It does change.
Yeah, of course.
In the second half, they register 21 in total. Yeah. So do shots on target, tell me, when a team hits the post, does that register as a shot on target in the stats or not? Do you know?
I think it does.
It does.
I think it does.
It's kind of on target.
Yeah, difficult one. I'm not sure if that's on or off. Not sure. Someone will let us know in the comments, I'm sure. Because I think on some I don't know what the official stat is, because I think on some, whether it be kind of betting apps or for different kind of stat-based kind of websites, I think some of them are actually different.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the official thing is. But yeah, they certainly... I expected that to happen second half. They're the home team. They don't lose at home. And I thought they would get stronger. And I thought, as we've seen lately, we are tiring. We are definitely tiring with this press. And I felt they'd come on strong and cause problems. But I always had that thing in my head that we're gonna catch them as well.
Yeah. We
will catch them.
If you ever want some more detailed stats, afcb.co.uk is the place to go, because they've got this rundown where it shows you on target, off target, and woodwork as well. So there you can see woodwork. 3, and also big chances as well. And that's the thing. I felt as though we had a few big chances in that half as well. And really, we had a couple in the second. But then, so did they, including Mbeumo. Were you there to see this one?
Just saw it as I was coming up.
It fell to him on his left foot. How he didn't hit the target, I do not know.
Sloppy, by the way.
Absolute let off, and yeah, you're right, Senesi there.
Yeah, he was a bit sloppy, a bit kind of off balance, wasn't he? And Mbeumo's been, obviously, as we saw later, he's been quite clinical so far this season, so you would have backed him there. He's just trying to get that bottom corner, and for some reason he's just misjudged it slightly, hasn't he? So yeah, because he's never going to get near it if he just finds that corner. So that was a massive let off. And as much as everyone's talking about the post ones, because that always obviously sounds closer, that was a big one for me. And if they get that goal so quickly into the second half, I think we then find it difficult to pick up again. I really do. So that was a big moment, big let off. But I felt we earned that run of the green, to be fair.
We did have a few corners after that. We had a flurry of them, but we didn't really just make the most of it. And it still concerns me about our set pieces at the moment. It feels...
Both ends, by the way.
Yeah, both ends, of course. Not great. I mean, contrast that with James Ward-Prowse, whose corners are unbelievable. And I think he's got 2 assists from corners alone.
Thank God he didn't play in that opening game, by the way.
Thank God he didn't. Yeah, because we would have got... I mean, his delivery, but we seemingly can't... We seemingly can't emulate. Do we know if Sinisterra is any good at set pieces, free kicks?
Yeah, I've got a feeling he does take them, so that will help for sure. That would definitely help us. But yeah, it's a weird one because I don't think stat wise it doesn't look like horrific from set pieces defensively, but I'm still feeling like they're always winning the header. A lot of them are coming in, they're just heading it over the bar, so you all go, oh, happy days. But really, they've won the header again, which is frustrating. But it's something, Andoni said it back in pre-season, didn't he? We know that's something we've got to work on, but I've also got to implement a new style. So it's difficult, but yeah, I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit stronger from that side of things. And as I say, going back to that early one, I do think that's why Neto's trying to preempt the set piece. Yeah. Because he's thinking we're struggling so much here, I need to take responsibility, but it is what it is. But yeah, they would cause us a few problems. But as I said, mate, I did always feel like we would get them opportunities on the break. Yeah. I did. And now we're showing, slowly, we've got a bit more of a bench now to impact games, and that is so key.
Absolutely. So, Wissa hit the post. He beats Senesi. His low shot. It hit the outside of the post. So I never really. I know
that wasn't that close.
I know it says they hit the woodwork 3 times. And that sounds really dramatic. I think twice would be the worrying moments because that one really did.
That was the one that looked like it was going wide and touched the post, whereas the others looked like they were going.
But I suppose for Brentford, if you're a Brentford fan, you're thinking, well, if you just put it 2 inches to the right, then. And then
every inch counts, Sam.
Every inch counts. Match timeline. Then we'll take a look at this because this is where the substitutions start to happen. A couple of fans have suggested that obviously we get 3 windows and a maximum of 5. Yeah. And the use of those windows, in hindsight, they're saying it was very poor. We're only saying that because of Kirkes at the very end, which we'll come on to. Yeah, if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't necessarily be talking about it. But David Brooks came on, and
Semenyo, wasn't it?
Semenyo was the one to make way. Later on, we have Tavernier coming on, and then of course at the end, Chris Mepham. Now, when Brooks come on, he's a funny one because in 2 games he's played now, he's had 2 brilliant moments, but then he's had moments before that I kind of think, oh, Brooksy, what are you doing? And he gave the ball away. And it culminated in that chance at the far post that somehow went on to the other post. Who was it at the far post?
Keane Lewis Potter.
That's right, Keane Lewis Potter.
Just come on.
The ball came across. I don't know whether he thigh'd it or what part of the body it came off.
I wonder if, obviously we didn't see all the replays because it didn't go in. I wonder if he might have been offside actually. Now, I think they said that on some of the highlights. He does look like it would be close anyway. Yeah. But yeah, it's one of them ones. He gets a connection on it, but it just goes horribly for him. And to be fair to Neto, you see him put his hands out and then he thinks, I'm leaving that because I think that's going across goal.
If he touches it, it's an own goal.
Because it's just going to hit him and go in. So yeah, give him a little bit of a shout for that. But yeah, I agree, mate, in the Brooksy thing. I mean, obviously we don't do second looks for the cup games. Can't we won't have any time. But a lot of people, which I get by the way, he scored, brilliant moment for him in the week, especially in Wales, being the captain, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, we went to the game and everyone at half time was going, there's no way Brooks comes back out. He was appalling. Yeah,
he wasn't.
He went for a 1 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 in that game. And again, in that one, he gives the ball away. But with David Brooks, and that's why Andoni is the gaffer and kept him on Tuesday night, he's got moments. He's got moments of brilliance. And I got bringing him on for sure. But the shout to bring Tav on as well was obviously crucial.
That goal, though, reminds me again of the Forest goal that Jayden Anthony scored. Oh, yeah. So it was a long raking ball. It was Christie that tried to find Tavernier, but then that back pass was awful. Tavernier, freshly onto the pitch, capitalised on it from where I was. Didn't even see Brooksy running down the right. Didn't see him.
No, I thought Tav's going to shoot.
And I thought Tavernier's going to go for it. But it
was good from Tav.
He found Brooks and composure.
Mate, the finish is so underrated, in my opinion.
Composure, mate. He could have hit it first time with his right.
Yeah, and if he takes that touch and the keeper doesn't move, and he misses. Everyone's going, "You idiot! Why are you taking a touch?" But he knew what he was doing. He's got that cleverness about him. I was delighted for him.
Limbs, mate.
Oh, it was unbelievable. But also, we talk about the subs, and you just mentioned that we'll come on to about, did he use the windows well? Well, I'll tell you what. If Tavernier come on, and this is no disrespect to Kluivert, by the way, but if you've played 70 minutes in that heat with the way we were playing, I don't think you're putting as much pressure on Rico Henry, I think was the fullback, as Tav did. So even though it's a massive error from their fullback, he's got Tav breathing down his neck because Tav's fresh. He's just come on the pitch. He's charging him down. I think if someone is chasing after that ball that's been on for 70 minutes, I think he's almost not giving up, you know what I mean? And that was key, and mate, I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my God, we're winning the game.
The atmosphere was unbelievable. David Brooks is obviously
buzzing for him.
I'm sure you'd have watched Match of the Day where they must have spoke about like David Brooks' first Premier League goal after beating cancer and stuff. What?
No, I mean the commentator mentioned it, but the actual when they went back to the studio. You know, normally when they go out of the studio, they talk about Bournemouth for about 10 seconds, so you make a little joke about it. Well, so I thought, I'll get ready to make a joke about Match of the Day and how much they talked about it. So I thought, I can't, because they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything at all.
Well, firstly, Lineker called Brentford Brighton.
Oh, yeah, he did originally, didn't he? Oh, God. But yeah, they don't really mention us. It is quite funny. But yeah, absolutely buzzing for him. Absolutely, what a week. It's so weird that the way that first 45 against Swansea, if you had told me the week he ended up having, incredible. I mean, he's had that 100 appearances or whatever it was, the captaincy in Wales, scoring first goal back, then scoring the Premier League goal. Absolutely buzzing for him, and just buzzing to see him coming on and looking sharper, having a little bit more strength from him. I felt last season when he come back for a few little cameos.
It's going to take a while, isn't it?
It's going to take a while. I think I remember talking to you about it, that the Everton game on the very last day was the first time I thought, he looked a little bit sharper actually in the little time he played. And I think, he's just getting that strength back now. And, he's going to international duty, mate. So, really, really pleased for him. And, he will add numbers. Whether it only be for, he's only coming on the pitch for 15 minutes or whatever, he will score goals. Yeah. And that's crucial, because we missed that last year. We need goals from midfield. So, buzzing for Brooksy, mate.
So, we bought on Mepham earlier in the game. They bought in Collins. Collins was the one who kind of, if you can call it an assist, I don't know, but it was a long ball, and then Kirkez, he just threw himself at that ball thinking he was going to win it. He sort of went over it, and then it fell to Mbeumo, and this is where you could argue the case that some people were saying at full time, like, we needed Lloyd Kelly in that position to be a centre back, because then he might have been able to get back in time to put a challenge in. But Mbeumo, as all good forwards do, despite the miss earlier in the game, he bared down on Neto and then, slotted it in. Yeah. And, it was gutting, mate. It was gutting.
It was gutted. It goes back to what we spoke about at the start, that, yes, they definitely deserve something out of the game for all the chance they had. But if you're winning with a couple of minutes to go, you don't take a draw, do you? So, gutted. Kirkez is too eager. He's been, by the way, incredible this season. It's probably the one thing he's done wrong all season. Because of the type of player he is, he just wants to win the ball so much, when really, if he just steps off him and Mbeumo's got the ball back to goal and we're back in our shape. But equally, you said about the Kelly thing, etc. You could say if Neto kicks the ball into one of the channels rather than straight down the middle, because it's from our goal kick. There's loads of different things that culminate into the goal. But ultimately, Kirkez should back off there. And the sub thing, but equally, because Kirkez was fine at the time he made that last sub, imagine if we had bought, Smith was available, by the way. Great to see that Smith and Tav are both back on the bench. If he brings on Adam Smith for Kirkez at 2-1, everyone would have lost their head. Yeah. So it's easy, I would say, isn't it? There's none of us thought, let's take Kirkez off. No. It just so happened that a couple of minutes later, he kind of felt something and would have maybe come off. But it is what it is, mate.
He was distraught.
Oh, he was gutted. He was gutted. He's been exemplary. Every single game he's made, and that is the Premier League for you. He's made one misjudgment and they've scored from it. Is what it is. But he had a great game apart from that, and it was disappointing. But I think, and after, don't get me wrong, mate, I was absolutely gutted. I don't think I looked back up for the rest of the game. I was so gutted for the lads and for Andoni. It's not only the first win; it would have been the Gaffer's first win. It would have been a real statement, I think. Brentford are notoriously bloody hard to beat at home. It would have been a hell of a statement. So I was just devastated for the lads. But look back on it and you reflect a little bit and you go, that is a massive point from us, mate. It's a massive point.
They are a good side. They're a really good side.
They'll be top half, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah, they'll be top half. If you're watching on YouTube, we've got the average positions and the heat maps being shown on screen. Whilst they are on screen, is the way we play? It relies on having a decent squad, is it? Because it seems like we're running out of steam after about 70, 75 minutes quite a lot. And at the moment, I just don't think we perhaps got the squad to cope, perhaps. Yeah, that's why bringing on only 3 subs, I was quite surprised because there must have been a few tired legs out there. Yeah,
no, I probably agree with that, and that's a fair point. I think as we said about the goal, it proves that the squad's getting there because you can make 2 subs that can then impact the game as they did with an assist and a goal. But I always go back to the Liverpool one. I think it's a good way of looking at it as they went down to 10 men, and that's when you think, right, we're in this game, but we had died by that point.
Absolutely had.
And I remember like Rothwell down on his feet, and he had to put Senesi into midfield because he's looking at his bench. No disrespect to these players, he's going Greenwood, Kilkenny. Do you know what I mean? But now we're starting to see very slowly, but you're bringing on some better players. But it's a good point you make that really, do you go, as much as I thought Lewis was good, do you go, oh, Rothwell, let's get Rothwell on then. Let's freshen it up a little bit. A difficult one in hindsight. Maybe Andoni thinks, oh, I could have brought some more legs on. Maybe
I do think the way we play though will see us get a lot more out of the teams, say below 8th place, where the league's pretty much equal. I mean, you could say that there are some weaker teams in this league, of course, but I do feel as though the way we play could enable us to get those results over those teams that we didn't, get results against last season. I honestly think that we could blow some teams away, and it is really exciting, and I'm glad actually that Bournemouth fans have got this kind of calmness about things because we can see that there's stuff going on. And this time there is a project that we can see slowly coming to fruition, and the board are backing Iraola, of course, with the signings that they're making. So we all know that good things are around the corner. I think you said you saw a tweet from, was it Alex Deutsch or someone who sort of made the comparison of a PlayStation or something?
Yeah, because of the new signings. I think it was Alex Deutsch who does some banging tweets. But yeah, he tweeted, it was something about that if you get a PlayStation for Christmas, but you're at your nan's house for Christmas, and she got a new PlayStation game, so you want to play it on Christmas Day, but you're at your nan's and she ain't got a PlayStation, so you got to wait. And that's what it feels like. We've got these players that we want to get going. And with Alex Scott, Tyler Adams in particular, now Sinistera. So yeah, it is exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time, as you say. And I'm intrigued also to see, you think of the teams we played, all very front foot. You could maybe argue the West Ham one, not so much. But I'm intrigued to see when we're playing, say, your Everton's is not too far away. Who are obviously struggling, they will allow us, they'll sit back, so it won't be as easy to counter on them because they'll be deeper in a low block, and they'll kind of let us have the ball. How we manipulate that, and I think you'll see people like Billing in particular getting on the ball more, and he can impact the game a different way. So yeah, and I think then you'll see Aarons and Kirkes getting forward a lot more as well. And little shout out to Aarons because I thought he had a very, very good game. Very good game at right back. He probably won't get looked at as much because of some of the attacking stuff, but I thought Aarons was really strong at right back.
You'd think our high line would maybe entice those types of teams to counter-attack and come forward every so often when they can, but then hopefully we can get straight back at them when they counter, because there will be gaps, but just a case of picking our moments, exploiting them, etc. So, who scored do their man of the match based on stats during the game? Do you want to hazard a guess at the Bournemouth player that scored the highest rating?
Well, I think we both said that I would have gave it to Christie man of the match, but rating-wise, I'm just trying to think of who would have pass completion and all that stuff. Who will I go for? Who would have got a high rate? I think Billing done quite well.
Well, let me take you out of your misery. The highest rated player was Christie. No, it was,
just ahead of Billing, by the way.
Just ahead of Billing. Look at that.
And then Solanke. Obviously, Brooks gets a good one as well when he comes on. But that kind of all makes sense. Kind of get that. I actually thought Lewis would be a little bit higher. And Antoine as well. And who was theirs? Yeah, I was going to say to you, I thought Jensen in that midfield, not only the goal, I thought he looked a real player for them in the middle of the park.
What does the E mean by Kirkes? Do you think that means error or something?
Yeah, error.
Is that what it means?
Yes. Yes, because Rico Henry's got one who made the error for our second goal.
So really, if you look at the goals that have been gifted by both sides, we probably won 1-0.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah,
both,
I'll take it.
Because both of their goals were gifts from us.
Individual
the
errors.
first one Neto, second one Kirkes.
Yeah.
Of course, one of theirs was an error. But, so Dom Solanke basically won the game 1-0, yeah?
Yeah, I'll take it. That's it. Move on. But no, I enjoyed it, mate.
Let's compare this with the Telegram ratings. I suppose you're wondering what Telegram is, yeah? You're not, are you?
I'm not again.
So look, here's a little preview of what Tom, well, there you can see on screen. Tom casually rocking up in the morning when you've had a chance to chill out and calm down. Yeah. It's not the kind of raw reaction, but look, to anyone that supports Back of the Net financially for as little as £3 a month, honestly, we so appreciate that because it goes a long way to help us put out what we do at the regularity that we do. We've had a video every day since the start of the season. We might take a couple of days off during the international break, but we're going to be at it constantly.
Yeah.
But we also fire this player ratings video to anyone that's donating monthly on Telegram, which is like a trendy WhatsApp. So that's our chat community. We've got loads of people on there. It's a really nice, safe, secure space for people to chat Cherries. And Sunday mornings or after every game, including Swansea.
Yeah, done Swansea as well.
Tom drops his sort of 10 minutes or so player ratings. Christy, your mom.
Yes, he was.
Or Pom, as it's supposed to be now.
Yes, player of the match. Yeah, he was. I think I made a few shouts in there, like I say, for Aaron's. Obviously, Brooksy coming on and doing what he did. And yeah, I wanted to, obviously, Dom. I think Dom was probably closest, actually, to being the next one because of the way he ran that line. But there wasn't anyone that was, obviously, we made the points that we've already made about Neto in there. And as I say, I don't know if it's because I really rate the guy, but I just feel like Senesi's looked a little bit shaky in the last two. That's including Swansea, by the way, if you weren't there.
Zabs, do you think he was was he all right?
I think with Zab, he does. There was a few times where they broke away and he was so high that you thought, oh, they're in. But he puts his body across well. He's bigger. I'm more comfortable with Zab at the moment. I think Senesi is better on the ball and makes some really good passes, as we saw for the Dom goal. But just looks a little bit shaky at the moment. But to his credit, he's going away with the World Cup winners, mate. So he is a hell of a player. But I just felt like this week he's not been to his top standards, I would say. But yeah, when I do then player ratings the next morning, what I do is on my notes, straight after the game, I put on my notes what I'm going to give them.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, I see how much different I'm thinking to what I thought straight after the game.
Interesting.
And it does change a lot. It does change quite a lot on all of them because I go, actually, sometimes Neto won, and then I'm like, well, hang on. Do you know what I mean? Just, calm it down a little bit. But, I think it was only really Neto, as we obviously said, and Celestia was a little bit under par. I think Lewis is not his role, but I thought he'd done okay, to be fair to him. Yeah.
In terms of Lloyd Kelly, I think Andoni Iraola at the end of the game suggested that he wasn't in the right headspace for it. But I think we could have benefited from him. I mean, because they are very pacey in Buemo.
Yeah.
And, some of their other attackers, Shana as well. They are quick. And sometimes you think, Senesi, I know that you said he's sometimes got that sharpness in his head to sort of...
read it a little bit better.
Yeah, read it more. I do feel as though he didn't show that on this particular game and we could have benefited with just that pace, but...
Maybe, but, like I say, the first goal is the first goal, is an error from Neto, and then the second goal, we don't know what position Kelly would be in, but he wouldn't have been expecting Kirkes to do what he did anyway, I wouldn't have thought. So I don't think it immediately impacted the game, but I appreciate the points with his pace. I just think it was probably easier in this circumstance to leave out Kelly, because it's easy to say, well, he's been with transfer rumours, so I left him out. But you didn't leave Kiefer Moore out. And that's because we haven't got anyone else on the bench that can be a striker. Whereas we've got Mepham and we've got Smith now, so we can afford to go, Kelly, just take one out.
Are we just doing that thing? I think we always did it with Dan Gosling. Like, whenever Dan Gosling wasn't in the team, oh, God, we need Dan Gosling.
Yeah.
Then he'd have a poor game. And then he'd be out again. It's like, oh yeah, we need Dan Gosling. Oh no, he shouldn't be playing. Like every week, there's this kind of yin and yang with him, and that's the kind of player that Lloyd Kelly is. Sometimes he has brilliant games, sometimes he doesn't. But it felt as though we could have benefited from it. But if his mind wasn't on it, of course, it was the right call. Yeah. And look, we were minutes away from you coming away with a big win, which Thomas Frank said, if we play this game 100 times, we win it 98 times, we probably draw one, which was today, and we lose one as well. Honestly, his post-match interviews are very difficult to watch. I watched the Brentford
He's a weird character, isn't he?
Very weird character. Like no eye contact. He's constantly like looking around. Always
he's a bit bouncy.
These ridiculous. Yeah, he's very bouncy. These ridiculous stats, like 990 times out of 1,000. He said something else would happen.
Yeah.
Like he's constantly doing this. He said the G-Tech was rocking and bouncing.
He lost me there. That's when he lost me. Obviously, we'll not give too much away.
Firstly,
our away day
just
show.
call it what it is. The G-Tech. I mean, I know that's the sponsorship name, but
yeah, but
the that just made me laugh. But rocking and bouncing,
yeah,
I don't think it was.
Well, the away end wasn't too bad. But yeah, I appreciate that he's the Brentford manager. He don't care what Bournemouth think of it, and I get his point. They had so many chances at the woodwork loads of times. He's going to say they should win the game. But yeah, that was the only thing about. We'll talk about it on the away day show. But that was the only thing that actually disappointed me, that the G-Tech was not rocking, was not bouncing, and I think it deserved to be more because their team played really, really good football, and I was surprised. Because last season, I remember thinking it's quite decent in there, and they were silent. Which was a bit of a surprise, but you know, maybe that's credit to us because we silenced them a little bit because we performed relatively well.
Yeah, the away day show, look, it's international break, so we might space out a bit of the content. We'll have the Premier League show, of course, coming out on Tuesday evening, and then we'll probably pop the away day show out on Thursday or something like that. And that's an interesting one because I do like their stadium. I do sort of wonder whether they're going to even outgrow that, despite the fact it's brand new. I don't know how much scope they have to expanding it, but in terms of the atmosphere there, really interesting. And Mark Jackson, it was his first one. We'll see what his wow factor was. Tom, we said we'd try to keep these second looks only about half an hour. We've been going 50 or so minutes, but
it deserved it this game though.
I think it did because there was so much to sort of take out of it. Really, I thought it was a really good game. Yeah, really good game for the neutral. A bit like their match against Spurs. I think Brentford's that is, of course, not ours.
Yeah. I think you've got to. Obviously, we're going to always do the Bournemouth slant, but I think you have got to give credit to Brentford because if they're on telly, I think like they were in the Tottenham game, I normally think, that'll be a good game. Do you know what I mean? Similarly to Brighton, I think Brighton are obviously that little bit level, but they do play good football. They're really good to watch, so credit to them for that. And but I felt like I was just excited. It was just exciting to see us go toe to toe. Yes, you're going to get caught, and that's why they had so many chances, but. So if we could have gone there, sat deep like we did last season, and just lose 1-2-0, and what's the point? So really enjoyed it, mate. It's promising signs, and weirdly, even though we don't enjoy it, but it's probably a good thing for us. We can get some bodies back, do some bits on the training pitch, as much as a lot of them are going to go away, and please none of you get injured. I think it's probably come at a good time, and Andoni can reflect and look at a few bits, and we'll be absolutely fine there. I'm looking forward to coming back, all refreshed, everyone available. Let's have it.
If you've enjoyed what you've watched, we'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. If you're listening on the podcast, we'd appreciate a review actually on your podcast app, whether it's Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or whatever. It really, really helps boost the profile of the pod. It's been a pleasure. By the way, what content do you want this week? Obviously, away day show, Premier League show to come. Is there anything else you want? Let us know in the comments if you want something in particular. Tom, it's been a pleasure.
Has indeed, mate. Yeah, really enjoyed it, and it's nice to have these are mostly feel positively despite not having that first win yet, but it's round the corner.
It's round the corner. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye. What's our manager's name?
Iraola, he drinks the strawberries, but he hates the Starmers. By the way, I kept on singing eats Estrella and drinks paella.
Yeah, that would be difficult to do. We did have a few, didn't we? Yeah.